Great to have you with us on this Thursday edition of Live and Local. Always good to have him in studio. Great to visit with him. John Kovacs, conservative candidate for Congress in CD3, and he joins us. Tell us what life is like out on the road. You've been traversing District 3. Tell me what it's like out there right now.
People are very excited. Oh, by the way, thank you very much for having me. Wonderful to see you again. People are very excited with respect to the upcoming election that they know is definitely going to help turn the country around. They, especially on the Republican side, they're very energized, they're very encouraged, and also they're very demoralized by failure after failure that they see, both with respect to the administration and the House and Senate Democrats. So they really know it's time that they have to step up and vote for people who are going to actually legislate and lead in the best interest of the country.
I want to ask you about the news of the day. Stephen Breyer goes to the White House, hands a letter to the president saying that I'm retiring after nearly 30 years on the job in the United States Supreme Court. Your thoughts on the passing of Stephen Breyer and what might lie ahead for America with another liberal judge?
It's funny. And that's the thing. We all know that's kind of in the bag there. But the fact that Stephen Breyer is retiring, everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall there because it was telegraphed in the previous administration. But what really is a little bit different about this is the action that the president has announced he's going to take. He already announced he's going to make his nominee a particular gender persuasion and a particular racial persuasion. And he did that with his announcement as vice president, and that got us Kamala Harris. And she's been an abject failure. Her popularity is worse than his. And he's bad judgment because rather than looking for, even if he wanted to get somebody who was like a Ruth Bader Ginsburg, at least that woman had a brain in her head. You want to get somebody who's a little bit with a liberal proclivity, no problem, but just make sure they're smart. But don't just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go for the brains first. I'm going to go for the how you look and the sex and all that first. And then I'm going to keep my fingers crossed to hopefully that the brain came with it, but it's not going to. And, I think it's a poor, judgment, call it judgment on his part, because if the Republicans then go ahead and block or make moves to block that nominee, whether it's successful or not, it's a different story. But if they do, they could say, hey, look what you did to us with your vice president. Why should we have any more faith with you here? And again, everybody's saying, well, it's one liberal for another. Yeah, but I mean, really, is that what we are? Is that we just trading places? I mean, you should be looking for the most qualified, the best person who's really going to do well for the country and interpret the laws as they were written with the legislative intent in mind and things like that. And what he did is, quite frankly, it's sickening.
John Kovacs joining us, conservative candidate for Congress, CD3. He is the owner of construction companies in Nevada on the East Coast, and he is running a strong campaign in District 3. I want to ask you about the president, because you touched on the president. The fact is the president has failed on so many levels, and his poll numbers are reflecting at 33% in one of the latest polls. His vice president, Kamala Harris, at 28%. Are you surprised by that?
Not after the series of failures he's done or he's had in his first year. Not at all. And unfortunately, the country no longer has any confidence in him. His credibility as a proven leader is shot. Her credibility is even worse. And people are like, they don't know what the next 3 years, they're very apprehensive about what the next 3 years has in store. Because, yes, we are going to change the House without a doubt. This is Vegas. I'll put money on that. And, yes, the tone of the Senate is going to change as well. I'll put money on that one, too. But in spite of that, you're still stuck with them for the 2 more years, and they've been successful at one thing, and that's running the country into the ground. And that's going to continue we just got the best we could do is hope from a legislative standpoint we could stem that tide. But from administrative things that we have no control over, enforcement at the border, that's a horror show. His foreign policy, another horror show. So we just got to hope that the next 3 years have been better than the first, and hope that the people who do get into office are able to kind of steer the ship to such a point or such a degree that the administration kind of listens to what the new majority is saying.
Is this president bringing us to the brink of war against Russia in Ukraine?
In spite of himself, I don't think that's going to happen only on account of the fact that I don't think the Russians are going to really want to have the Russians are going to start a world war over Ukraine. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's a lot of posturing in terms of what he said. Oh, we're going to notify 8,500 troops that they might go in heightened alert. I don't think, because I think the Russians are going to show restraint, and I think that Biden already kind of showed his cards. He's already telegraphed to the Russians what he feels about them. A slight incursion into Ukraine, and then of course he allowed them to finish their pipeline with Germany and trade oil with Germany and enrich them, and actually fund what the 100,000 men on the border, that's being funded vis-a-vis the oil that they're selling to Germany. So he's allowed this to happen. So I don't think they have any confidence when he says stop. I don't think they're going to take that very seriously, and they're going to do what they're going to do. But I definitely think on their end, not too many candidates can say, hey, you know what, I've been to Russia, and I've been to Moscow, and I've been to the Kremlin, and and I don't think that those people are going to show a lot of restraint because I think what they want more of a diplomatic thing. They do not want Ukraine to be part of NATO. I think that's the ultimate end game for them. They're not so much. They're not hell bent on taking over the world or taking back Ukraine. But I don't have a crystal ball. We'll see what happens.
More coming up with John Kovacs, the conservative candidate for Congress in CD3. We'll talk about a lot of other stuff, not just Ukraine, not just cratering poll numbers. There's a whole lot more going on. We'll talk to him about that and a whole lot more on AM 670 KMZQ. John Kovacs joining us, conservative candidate for Congress in CD3. You are a successful business guy. You have traveled around the world. You've been to Russia. You've been to Eastern Europe. You've done a lot of things in your life, and you've amassed a good deal of wealth. And obviously, you don't have to be doing this. Tell me why you're running for office. Why you want this office?
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I was generally satisfied and actually happy when President Trump won the election, and I was generally satisfied with the progress he was making. Unfortunately, the circumstances surrounding the 2020 election are what they are, were what they were, and then Joe Biden became president, inaugurated, and literally the very next day, 13 executive orders literally undoing all the progress we made. And it was right then and there, I'm saying, you know what, this is enough. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking this anymore. I'm going to do something more than just donate. I'm going to run for Congress. I'm properly equipped. I have the right education. I have plenty of experience in running things right. I said, and I looked to the left, I looked to the right. Nobody else can do it. You know what? It's time for me to step forward. And I did. I will tell you, there's a lot of, and everybody thinks, oh, you're a politician. There's a lot of personal commitment, personal sacrifice, on every level to do this. I'm not doing this to improve my standing or anything else. I'm doing this because I generally, and deep down, I feel our country is in trouble, and I'm going to at least do my part to help it. I love our country. I want to see us succeed. And more importantly, I need us to stay on top. I want this country to stay on top. I want this country to be the leader in every industry. And it sickens me again to see what has happened in literally, a short period of time, 1 year, and I knew the minute he started signing those executive orders, and his attitude toward the country, that what was going to transpire. And I'm like, I have to do this. And yes, there's a lot, and there is a lot of commitment, personally, financially, that I've made. And, quite frankly, regardless of the outcome, I do it again.
I want to ask you, because last week the Democrats and their voting rights bills, plural, it came down to defeat. You are actually doing something about election integrity. In fact, you've got, and I'd like you to kind of lay out what it is. I've only got like 90 seconds, but I'd like you to lay out what the Election Integrity Center is and what it's intended to do.
No problem. Very quickly. We all saw what happened, and people are coming up to me, John, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because if somebody doesn't do something, we're going to go down in flames the same way that happened in 2020. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm like, you know what? These people are right. If I don't do something, nobody's going to do. And so I look, again, I'm like, we got to do something, and it can't just be lip service. Nobody wants lip service. They want action. And so I'm thinking to myself, real quick, okay, where did we actually lose this thing? I can't do anything about the mail-in balloting. It is what it is. But I'm like, you know where we also lost it? On that counting room floor. You saw it when the people throw the ballot, separate the ballots from the envelopes. Right away, get rid of the envelopes. Nobody's checking signatures. Nobody's doing really what they're supposed to be doing. Why? Because most of the people working on there have Democratic leanings. And I'm like, the way to win this thing, or at least level the playing field, get our people in that room. How do you do it? So the Election Integrity Center tells you, hey, they got to hire 4,500. Because I'm like, they don't just hire these people laying around, on a year, all year. They got to hire these people. 4,500. And yes, they do 4,500 because you open them 3 million ballots. 4,500 people they got to hire. And and you could go on our website, the gold button, press the link, gets you to the application, sign it. They can't discriminate against you based on your political proclivity or anything like that. And they like to have an equal number of, and the law says you got to try to have an equal number of people from both parties. But if only all the Democrats are apply, guess what? They're going to be the ones there. So we have an opportunity to change that. Go on that, press the gold button, be the person on the counting floor. You count the ballot, and you make sure you protect our elect. Because I can't.
Where can folks go to find this?
KovacsForCongress.com. That's my website. Little red button on top says Election Integrity Center. Press the button. In addition to that, there's a wealth of other information with respect to early mail-in balloting, when they're due, and all the other things that in Nevada law, and all the other things that relate to that. But you're going to be educated, and you're going to know how to protect our election.
Hey, John, always good to visit with you. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it, and I know we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
Be safe out there on the campaign trail. That's John Kovacs, conservative candidate for Congress in CD3. Stick around. More to do. We'll close it out for a Thursday and get you ready for Wayne Allen Root. That's all coming up on AM 670 KMZQ.